Hallo und herzlich willkommen im Franchise-Universum Podcast hier von der Franchise-Expo in Frankfurt im November 2023. Ich sitze hier im Ausstellerbereich und zwar mit Martin Joksimovic. Der ist nämlich der CEO oder President von MFV oder Exposure, der Veranstalter der Franchise-Expo. Und ich freue mich sehr, I'm very happy, Martin. We switch to English now that you are here and I can host you in my podcast and we can talk a little bit about the US, the shows you do, like the Franchise-Expo in Frankfurt, and growing international. I think you see a lot of franchise systems doing it, and I'm very happy. Welcome to this little show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and actually it's my first time in Germany, first time in Frankfurt. And what a better way to have this first experience other than being at the Franchise-Expo Germany.
Oh, great. Well, you are welcome over here in Germany as well. I hope you have the chance to see a little bit outside of these halls, because we have a little more than only a dark hall. Hallo und willkommen zu einer neuen Episode im Franchise-Universum Podcast für euch in den Systemzentralen. Mein Name ist Steffen Kessler und ich helfe euch, die passenden Menschen zu finden und von euch zu überzeugen, um sie dann zu erfolgreichen und, das ist mir wichtig, zufriedenen Franchise-Partnern zu machen. In meinen Worten heißt das, indem wir unser Glück mit anderen teilen. Viel Spaß mit dem kommenden Impuls. Let's talk about franchising. Well, I had Tom in the former times. Tom was the former president, and we talked about this show where he wanted to go in Germany. You started in 2018 with this first Franchise-Expo show, coming from the US. Where are you heading to?
Of course, MFV Expositions as a company is a leader of organizing franchising shows in the world. We have been doing this for the past 32 plus years. So we started initially in the US, as we all know, the importance of the franchise industry in the United States, and we can talk a little bit later about the numbers in the US, just to put in perspective the size of franchising in the US as an economy, as a territory. But yes, we currently have 4 different shows covering different territories in the United States, with the International Franchise-Expo being the largest, based in New York City. And now I invite you officially to come and join us in New York so you can see that show as well, and we can redo this podcast on the other side. So that would be great. Other than New York, we have shows in Florida, in California, and our newest edition, we added a show for next year in Texas, in Austin, Texas, because it's a booming market. And actually, whenever we try to add another territory, we're in touch with our exhibitors, with the franchisors. We ask them what is the next territory of interest, and like that we try to help them in growing their franchise and their businesses, right, and their locations. Other than the US as a company, we have an office in Mexico City as well. So we have 3 shows in Mexico, in Guadalajara, Mexico City, and Tijuana. So we have a big footprint there as well. We have, of course, we are here today in Frankfurt, so Franchise-Expo Germany, as you said, started in 2018. It was a really strategic decision and a great decision, actually, looking from this perspective, to start the show in Germany, because as we all know, Germany is the leading economy in the EU, so it deserves to have its own show, right? So that's really important for us, and it's been a great success, right? If we put COVID aside, since the beginning, it's been a growing show, with growing both on the exhibitors and the attendee side, which is really important for us. And together with our partner, which is the German Franchise Association, they're an amazing support since the beginning. So we're just looking forward to grow together the show and the franchise industry in the US.
Do you have a feeling why the German show had to start quite small and growing small compared to, for example, the UK show or the French show, which, I don't know how many years they exist already, those shows, but they are huge. They are really big and well known. And over here in Germany, for the last years, even all the time, we didn't know each other yet. It was quite difficult to bring the franchisors to one place and to bring the visitors to one place. Do you have any feeling, despite we are one of the leading markets in the EU, why this part might be a little difficult?
I think franchising as a sector, it's really specific, right? And I think there should be some learning before you get involved in it. I think there's like a learning stage. So maybe I'm definitely convinced that, the future is bright and it's going to, this show specifically, it's going to grow a lot more, right? I mean, I'm personally, for next year, as the new president, I'm personally, and I'm just going to say thanks to our partners, Christian and Luana as well. I just want to mention them because they're doing an amazing job organizing show here locally. But we want to work close together for next year, for years ahead, to actually learn from each other, right? What do we do in the US? How do we do it? What can be translated to the German market? And try to see if those tactics work here as well, with the goal to make the shows bigger and better. Along the way, we had also a meeting with the German Franchise Association talking about the fact that there should be a lot more education and push just in general about franchising, right? I think that's where it starts, and from there, once people know what it is, how it works, how it can help their lives to start their own business and help, but not be by themselves, right? Have the support all along, because there's a lot of people with entrepreneurial spirit that are trying to do their own business, but maybe they're not sure how to start or where to go. They know maybe what industry they want to be in, but they don't know what the concept. And I think that's where franchising it has the true power, because you have the support from the franchisor all along the way from the start, and their goal is to make you as a franchisee successful. So yeah, I definitely think that where we have a bright future, we're definitely putting the work to get it to the next level, and I think in the coming years that will show. And our shows are going to be equivalent or bigger than the other two shows you mentioned.
Oh, okay, you have a vision. That's great.
Growth and expansion are my key focus. Yeah.
All right. Well, you get in touch with a lot of franchisors in the US as well. From your point of view, talking about the mindset of franchisors, what do you feel is the difference between the mindset in the US and the mindset you find over here in Germany? And I invite you to be critical as well, because I think there are some huge differences to learn from a country that is a lot more bigger than Germany, from only the size, for example. Yes. But there are things, I think, mentality, mindset, we can
steal some ideas, right? Yeah. No, for sure. And you're absolutely right. I think it's also a cultural thing, in general, not just franchising, but just in general. I myself actually come from Europe originally, but I've been in the US for the past 12 years. So for me also at the beginning, it was a learning experience. But
where you come from?
So originally I was born in Macedonia, and I lived in France for 6 years, and now 12 years in New York. Yes. So I've had, So I've been, it's interesting when I speak with people, I'm like, I've had the education, the European education, as well as, the Western U.S. education. I've worked in both on this side and the other side. And I used to be a professional athlete, so I used to play volleyball back in the days. So I had the sports experience here and there as well. So between these three elements, I think I have a lot to say, So when it comes to culture, to go back to your question, I think in franchising in the U.S., things are done a little bit more aggressively. When I say aggressively, I mean at a faster pace. Definitely things go a lot faster, straight to the point, and it's straight business, right? So which has its good sides and bad sides, right? I think that just because of the size of franchising in the U.S., that's why things go pretty quicker than here, I'm assuming. Here I'm learning a little bit more about franchising, specifically in Germany. But from first perspective, that's what I see. In the U.S. at our shows, a lot of things, what's happening, people prepare for these shows really aggressively. They take like at least 2 months to prepare for the show, see what kind of leads are coming, contact these people, maybe even beforehand, so that when they see these people at the show, they already have a starting point where they're talking. So these are a couple of tips. Yeah, it's a little bit different. But again, I mean, we can learn from. I mean, I've been here for the past 3 days, and there's so many ideas that I already have in my head that we are not doing in the US currently at our shows that I'm definitely want to implement there. And also, as I mentioned with Christian, we were talking about what we can do that I'm already doing at my shows in the US that definitely we have to have it here. And I think that's where you start to show people, to open their mind, for them to think differently, to see a different perspective. And yeah, I think that's the beginning. Yeah.
Well, that's a very nice input to look at their own preparation of a fair, of a show.
100%.
Because my impression is a lot of franchise systems over here, they start pretty late. Yeah. So, next week will be the show. What are we gonna do? Well, I'm exaggerating a bit, but still the feeling is a bit like this because they have so many things to do on the desk, and now the show is coming faster than we can see. We all know it, and the invitation of leads to that show, I feel there's a little fear you might lose the lead to your neighbor on the show, for example. And maybe this fear is not that big in the US. Am I right?
Yeah, volume-wise, I mean, as you said, it's larger and it's a lot more leads coming. But yeah, preparation is key for any fair. Right? So it doesn't mean that just because you have a stand and you're going to show up, you're going to have a great show, right?
Yeah. And those leads are coming by
exactly,
themselves.
Yeah. So when these potential people are coming to the show, they have so many options, right? And I think it doesn't go only for the franchisors, it goes on the other side for the leads and for the franchisees. If I decide to go to a show, I'm going to look at the exhibitor list. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to potentially get in touch with people that I want to see. Maybe book an appointment, not just come to the booth and start the conversation there, but maybe start a conversation if I'm really serious about that specific franchise and about their time. It's respect about like everybody's time, right? And in US we say time is money. So and then we really mean that, right? So that's why when I said a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more straight to the point, that's what I meant by that. Yeah.
I had a former podcast with Karina as well, and we were thinking about how great it would be if every exhibitor would bring like 10 leads. We have about 100 exhibitors. 10 leads makes 1,000 people coming here. So, well, each franchisor might lose 10 leads because he brings his leads and they go to any other brand, but he has the chance to get 990 other leads and convince them, and so everybody is winning. This is kind of a theoretical way of looking at it, but still I think it would be a great idea, but some do. And some others don't.
And there's a way to do that, right? We are actually doing that in the US. So all of our exhibitors, as soon as they signed up, they get a special link to invite their people for free, right? Their leads. So, and of course, if they do it the right way and if they work their leads the right way, they're going to make them, even those 10 leads, right, that they're inviting, they're going to make them like as VIP, valuable, great experience for them to focus mainly on the reason why they're here. And then of course they will, like anyone at a fair, you kind of want to wander around and explore and see what's out there, get inspired, get new ideas. So there's nothing wrong with that, right?
I would always suggest to compare franchise opportunities. You're starting to get to become an entrepreneur if you come to that. And a good entrepreneur, he won't take a decision just by, that's great, I'm going this way. He will try to see what is right on the right side and the left side of it and try to compare to get a feeling, is this really the right decision? And so a fair is, it's fair.
Exactly. It's a perfect, the way I say about fairs, and it's a perfect learning opportunity. You know, it's all about the networking, it's all about the learning, and not only learning from the exhibitors and from the franchisors, from the industry. You know, we have great, amazing educational sessions and conferences on the show floor And there's people that are actually thinking all year round about the topics, about what's popular, what's trending, right? What do you really need? And you can put, as soon as the fair is done, what you can put in practice right away. And that's why people need to be here, because this is where everything starts.
Yeah. All right. Just for the final couple of minutes, let's have a look to the US. That's a lot. The thoughts are a lot bigger in the US. What can you tell us about US franchise systems, US franchisors, and the US economy in franchising? That might be interesting for us over here in Germany, just to have a look over the sea.
Yes, so I know that in Germany you guys love numbers. So I brought a couple of numbers that I think are going to answer your question, are going to put in perspective. So currently, actively in the U.S., there is 800,000 franchise establishments or 800 systems. And these 800,000 systems, active locations, right, from different brands and different sectors, they provide 8.4 million jobs, okay, for people that are actually working in this segment. I don't know, what's the population of Germany?
80 million.
So no, I need to find a smaller country. But yes, anyways, to put in perspective, or Berlin, it's...
about, I think, 2 or 3 million.
Oh, okay, so we need to find something in between. but anyways, so as far as these franchise systems, we have... So they're contributing $825 billion to the U.S. economy, which represents 3% of the GDP of the U.S., just solely franchising. So it is big, right? And it's growing on a daily basis. I mean, we have 4 events of ours, 4 fairs in the U.S., but from the industry, there's other people that are organizing, of course. The association, the International Franchise Association, which is our partner, they have their 3 conferences. There's multi-unit shows. So on a yearly basis, I have 15 events. Trust me, whenever I go to a next event, I see minimum 5 to 6 different new concepts coming and growing this industry and supporting these numbers that I gave you. So the IFA, which is the International Franchise Association, has a big impact in that because they're promoting, they're enhancing, they're protecting the franchise community through their relations. So it is a significant market. It is important. At our show in New York, just to add some numbers, so this past year in May, we had 350 exhibiting companies, and during the 3 days, we got 8,500 people visiting the show.
Okay, wow.
So it is... Yeah. It is big.
What about inviting all those companies over here to Germany?
Yes, so the idea is that, and of course we always survey our exhibitors, the local US franchisors, if they're interested in expanding internationally. As soon as we get that positive feedback from their end that they're ready, some of them, of course, they're not ready. US is big, so they're first mainly focusing on all the territories in the US.
Well, you have 50 states to go to.
Yes, exactly. But we do push, and of course we want to, it's our show here, so we want to support it. So we are always inquiring all these exhibitors if they're interested about international expansions. For Frankfurt is the first market that we suggest. So I mean, Germany is the first market we suggest. So next year, I'm more than happy to say that we're working on having a dedicated US pavilion, and it's going to be supported by the IFA together with MFV. We'll of course have help. We will need help from the German Franchise Association for the educational piece for all these US brands. And we as professionals, we're not just trade show, fair organizers, right? It goes above and beyond that, right? We are creating these connections with their prospective franchisees. And if we were to bring, and vice versa, this goes same for the German brands that are willing to come to the US. We know that there's a lot of learning that needs to be done, especially when you go international, right? There's different laws, regulations about franchising in general. So we are here.
Marketing is different.
Marketing strategies. So talking about the U.S. Pavilion coming in next year here at the show, the German Association can be a perfect partner to support these brands and explain them, okay, if you want to develop in Germany, this is the steps you need to take in order to be successful. And vice versa. When we would have a German pavilion at our shows in the US, the IFA will support that journey from the start.
All right, great. Martin, thank you very much having your view over here. It was a great pleasure talking to you. And well, I wish you that all your plans and visions will get through very fastly. And thank you very much for being here. Have a good time over here today and for the next day in Germany to find out a little more than only those dark halls.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Das war's für heute von mir hier im Franchise-Universum Podcast. Ich freue mich, wenn für euch ein passender Impuls dabei war. Und wenn ja, dann leitet ihn gerne an eure Kollegen innerhalb der Systemzentrale weiter. Und ganz besonders empfehlt sehr gerne diesen Podcast an eure befreundeten Franchisegeber und Franchise-Manager, denn es ist natürlich noch lange nicht jeder in der Podcast-Welt angekommen. Und sehr gerne hinterlasst mir eine nette Bewertung auf iTunes. Das hilft mir, diesen kleinen Nischen-Podcast für die Franchise-Wirtschaft leichter auffindbar zu machen. Ich wünsche euch eine gute Zeit, teilt euer Glück, euer Wissen, euren Erfolg mit euren Franchise-Partnern. In diesem Sinne macht es gut, bis zur nächsten Episode. Ciao.